and like did stuff with their bodies, and then chopped them up, put them in trash bags, and he was working in the same time as William Bonin and Randy Kraft, and then a bunch of other people like the Hillside Strangler and all these people in Los Angeles that were out killing people. So he kind of got I wouldn't say, like, if he was the only one working in the 70s in Los Angeles area and killed 28 people or maybe more, he would be super notorious. But it just so happens that he was working at the same time as Randy Kraft, who killed in the 60s.
Right, he's up there in the big leagues.
And then William Bonin is just his own beast. William Bonin was just the way he did things. He had a creep van that was modded out to hold people down and like torture and kill them.
Bonin was MVP, I guess.
Yeah,
and
we say we don't idolize these guys.
Patrick Kearney just wasn't ready to be brought up to the show yet. He's a AA player at best.
All right, well, that's who we're doing this week. AA player. That's the name of the episode. I think as we go through it, you'll see that he definitely was. I don't know. Do you think he's interesting, or he's just like?
He is interesting. He's just more of a necrophiliac, right?
He's a necrophiliac. He wasn't as much
on the necrophilia way more than the other guys.
He wasn't as much into torture.
No, he wasn't looking for confrontation though. Like. That's why he was just a shooter and he shot, very strategically. Yeah. Because he knew if he missed or hit like in the body or something like that, and the guy had a chance to fight back, it was over. Because he was like 5'5".
5'5". Yeah. He was. He seemed like he picked guys that were like larger guys that.
Yeah, on purpose.
When we go through his childhood, you'll find out why. We'll just start.
Oh, because big kids bully little kids, LORNE.
Right.
That's pretty.
So let's start.
Spoiler alert.
Let's start at the beginning and find out what turned Patrick Kearney into the trash bag killer. So he was born September 24th, 1939. Born in East Los Angeles, California, to George and Eunice Kearney. His father, George, was a police officer, and his mother
overbearing, right?
Was he?
I mean, he was strict.
His father?
Yeah. We see that. That's like a pattern in a lot of the killers that we do.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the 40s.
He had that overbearing father.
So, and his mother was a stay-at-home mom. So I don't know if I didn't read that she, like, doted on him. That seems to be a really common thing with serial killers where, like, the father's...
No, I did.
Father's an asshole, and then the mother, like, is there to
She was
comfort.
very protective of him.
Was she?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, then we're starting to fill in some holes here.
Checking some boxes.
Yes. When he was 4, his brother Michael was born. Hey, Michael.
Hey. That's not a popular name at all.
Yeah. I know. We'll see it a few times in this. Not just his brother, but other people in this story are named Michael as well. When he was 5 years old, he began elementary school in Montebello, California, where he was. This began the trend of him being picked on relentlessly through school.
Yeah, his trend started early and didn't really change. Like, usually you see a lot of people change,
Yeah.
Like, if they get picked on through elementary and middle school, then they'll take on a different personality in high school or whatever, or just become a loner.
Right.
Like some of the other guys we've done. But it's interesting that his, never changed.
He was an easy target. He was really short. I guess even at this time he was shorter than the other kids. He had, like, real thick, like, Coke bottle glasses. He was kind of effeminate as well. He was called, like, girly boy, queer boy. Said he wasn't gay at this age, though. He was interested in girls, supposedly, during this time.
Right.
When he was 5, his brother Chester was also born. So he was the oldest of 3 brothers, 3 sons from his parents. Mm-hmm. And 47, when he was 8 years old, he began having thoughts of killing. Now, this I thought was interesting because...
That's early.
That's real early, because like we just did an episode on Dahmer, and I believe Dahmer was like 14 when he started connecting sex and violence together and like started thinking about killing. 8 years old. That might be the earliest I've heard from any of the people we studied.
It wasn't long after this that he had that encounter with the family dog.
Yeah.
So that's early on too, man.
So he's started the game early. He still didn't become MVP. He had such a head start.
Yeah, I know. Hey, some people are just talented.
People don't have the,
You know those people that like play basketball or football their entire life, and then even in college, and then they make it to the Major League Baseball. They're like, what the hell?
Right. Yeah. Somebody that started football only in his senior year, and then he goes on to get drafted.
Right. But Kearney here has played ball his whole life and still can't hang with this dude, this other athlete that just came from another sport.
Right.
It's a shame.
He had all the hatred and everything built in too. Right. He had everything to his.
But he wasn't abused at home. I mean, he was coddled by his mother at home, and his dad is strict.
Maybe that's what it was. Is like he thought he was real angry from being picked on, but like the hatred that like a William Bonin had in him from like his
he had a fire. He had a different.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no denying what William Bonin had inside him.
It was almost like Panzram, where it was just like those two, Bonin and Panzram, the evil, just the hatred in them because they were constantly abused from the time they were little.
Yeah, I think like Bonin and Panzram are on the nurture side of the serial killers. But Kearney, I think he may be on the nature side.
Yeah, because
there was no really
a lot of kids get
that
picked on, and he had this.
A lot of kids get picked on.
This thing where he had to get revenge on like the bigger kids.
Yeah,
and that seems to be, even with his confessions and stuff, is like he wanted to get back at kids that picked on him.
Yep.
At age 11, they're moving around. This begins this like series of moves,
right?
Which seems to also play into things like people that don't have the stability, kids that don't have stability throughout. Like they don't get to keep the same group of friends. I don't know if he had friends at this time, but
he's constantly being introduced into
Dahmer dealt with it,
new crowd,
I believe, right? And
yeah.
It just
he moved around.
A lot of the serial killers we study, they don't have any consistency in their childhood.
Right.
So yeah, they moved from where they were in Los Angeles to Reseda, California. I'm not sure the distance, but once in school there, he was also bullied more. At 1952, he's 13 years old. His father taught him how to kill pigs by shooting them behind the left ear. And at the time, the father was using a .22 caliber, which is strange because this is the same method and caliber weapon that he would end up using. Now, his father was using a .22 rifle.
But why would you find that strange? I mean, if your dad taught you a great way to kill something.
I didn't say it was strange.
You know what? I think I'm going to go for the left foot today.
Right.
Just mix it up. Maybe Dad don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Well, his father's theory and
a bunch of limping pigs.
And Patrick's later theory was that shooting behind the ear causes less bleeding. Now, I can't say that I've ever seen it, but apparently...
It makes sense, actually.
Why do you think so?
I don't have a scientific reason. Man, I didn't think you were going to call me on that shit.
That makes sense.
All good.
Shoot behind the ear. There's less bleeding, obviously.
What the fuck do I know?
I don't know. We need to talk to a medical student on this. Why is there less bleeding behind the ear? I don't know.
What do you want from me?
We have plenty of people that are in the medical field that listen to the show. Tell us why there's less bleeding back there.
Yeah. But just one person. After somebody tells us, I'm going to tell everybody that we know already.
Right.
We don't want every RN on here listening.
For the next year. For the next year. I was just listening to your... oh, shit. That was so long ago. Okay, so... Where were we? His father taught him how to kill pigs by shooting behind the left ear. That was at age 13, and he began practicing on animals at this time.
Yeah.
I don't know if he went off on his own and did it, or
probably.
It was kind of vague. He claimed to have had his first sexual experience with a family dog around this time. That's something you alluded to earlier.
This is it's funny because even at that sign, you know, the parents are seeing all this, right? They're seeing the fascination with guns and killing and then torturing of animals, and then he has sex with the dog, and then they're still like, well, I don't know. I think we'll just keep waiting it out. I think it's like, oh, I'm sure this is just a phase.
But do you think his family knew that he had sex with the dog? Because he just later said that this is what happened. I don't think if his family knew, I think there's definitely time for some therapy.
I don't know. Everything I read about that suggested that they knew.
Ugh.
Yeah. Because I feel like it was one of the things that was just kind of swept under the rug, especially by his dad. Because his dad was, you know, the stern disciplinarian and liked to pretend his family was perfect while he's out, you know, serving and protecting. So.
Oh man, I'm just trying to think like what would you do in that scenario if you found out your son had done such a thing?
Definitely an appointment with a therapist.
Yeah,
I think would be,
and like a whole bag of dog treats for the dog as well.
Yeah, maybe some ice.
Well, okay.
I love my animals.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. In the winter of 1953, he's 14 years old. He attends junior high school at Diane St. Lykeman Special Education Center in Reseda, California.
Oh, it's a rough age to transfer schools, man.
Yeah. And
it's a rough age.
And especially when you look like him, he was kind of like we talked about, an easy target.
Yeah.
And so he's bullied further at this school. Same stuff. Right. Girly boy, all of that.
It's starting to get a little more serious, I think, at this point, though. Because, you know, he's getting older, he's starting to recognize his sexuality, and he's starting to feel hate for it, and you know what I mean? I think this fire is really start boiling right here.
Yeah, we talked about with Randy Kraft and William Bonin how they would, like, denied their homosexuality in the younger age, and, and because it was a time where it wasn't accepted.
Right.
You know, so that may have been going on. He was, like, holding in this...
Oh, for sure.
Big secret, and everyone else is picking on him, and it's like he's trying to keep it under wraps, but like people are seeing that he's more effeminate and like calling him out on it publicly.
Right.
Probably isn't helping and all
Right.
that. During this time, his father becomes a travel agent. When they're 14, the family moves again to Wilcox, Arizona.
Oh, here we go. Another middle school move.
Yeah, so they moved to a completely different state this time. They moved down to Wilcox, Arizona, where Kearney enrolls in Wilcox Middle School. He starts studying other languages and became fairly fluent in Spanish, Japanese, and Chinese.
That's really impressive.
Super impressive, if it's in fact
That
true.
is so impressive.
I mean, I read it from a good source. I mean,
I've tried to learn Spanish so many times. It's hard, man.
it is.
It's hard to learn another language because you really got to stick with it. It's like exercise.
It is
for your mind.
I've done the same thing where I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna learn Spanish, and like for like 2 days, I'm listening to these podcasts.
Yeah,
and
in
like,
Spanish and stuff.
practicing and this and that, and then like 3 days later, I'm like,
Nah, fuck it.
I'm gonna listen to something else.
Yeah, most of the time there's a translator.
But to learn Spanish, Japanese, and Chinese at the age of 14, that's impressive. To where you're
That is
fairly
impressive.
fluent, I don't know if I can even believe that. Fairly fluent,
Especially in Japanese and Chinese.
Yeah.
Those are not easy to learn.
right? That's
I
a
mean-
lot. That's like the hours you'd have to put in. I guess if he's getting picked on at school and he's not hanging out with anybody, he's just going straight home and like. But you had to think he had homework and everything else too. It's like, how do you find time to learn those three things?
Right.
I don't know.
You think you just learn those languages so he could just cuss the people under his breath
Well-
while he's walking down the hall?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm sorry, what?
Well, something that we didn't mention yet is that later on, we get a lot of flack for saying people's IQs and stuff because most of the time it's
We
a made up,
realize that it doesn't play into being a serial killer.
right, and also
we
that
realize
people
that.
a lot of times they estimate the number for
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
because he didn't specifically take a test and then like have the thing made publicly.
Right. We realize it's not a direct exact science.
But he was probably the smartest, especially of the freeway killers. I know Randy Kraft was smart, but his
Yeah.
IQ was estimated. Talking about Patrick Kearney, his IQ was estimated in the 180s.
Jesus.
And he ended up being an engineer for an airplane,
Yeah, electrical engineer, right?
an electrical engineer for an airport or whatever.
For an airplane.
airplane.
It's one single
company.
airplane.
For an airplane.
An airplane.
It was the best airplane around too.
So electrically efficient.
Right. 22 calibers behind every seat.
Oh, that's nice. So if the plane goes down, you can just shoot yourself.
Yeah. I think that should come standard
Oh yeah,
in planes.
It's like
you
we
make your choice. You want to go down with the plane, or you can just decide now to just end it.
Go ahead and exit out.
Yeah.
What if you don't shoot yourself in the right place?
Or you can make a deal with the person sitting next to you to just, if the plane goes. But like, what if you just hit some bad turbulence?
It's a bad turbulence. Oh my god!
You may have pulled the trigger.
Are you sure it's not crashing?
Right. They said there'd be bad turbulence. Oh boy.
Yikes!
Yeah. So then the family moves again. They move from Arizona to Redondo Beach, California, where he attends high school.
Jesus, settle down, people. You know.
I know, it's like they're moving more than they're changing underwear here. For me, I just don't understand. You've moved a little bit more than me, and I've pretty much been. My parents, I grew up in the same house until I was 20. Then I bought my own house, and I was,
Yeah.
never moved.
That's it, huh?
Never moved. I actually was kind of envious. I was like, I wanted to move a little bit.
I moved
Sounds cool. Sounds glorious, but I'm sure
Yeah.
it's not. It's one of those things.
It's kind of exhilarating just moving into a new place.
Yeah.
Or just even a new area like within your state.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. Just being on a different side of town, new experiences, you meet new people, new neighbors and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But Patrick Kearney, I don't think he believed that way.
Well, when you're a kid, yeah.
No, if I was in junior high moving schools, when I went to junior high, we had another elementary school that was close by, and they didn't have a junior high school to go to. So like we would merge. So basically, like every class was mixed. So like half the kids you went to school with in elementary school and half you didn't. So it was almost like going to a new school.
Right.
Almost. But it was really stressful. I mean, being 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Right.
I mean, you're still figuring out.
And you still had some of your friends around.
Yeah, I still had some of my friends around, but it was and it was still stressful. So he's being thrown into a whole new pod at middle school. I'm sure there's plenty of people that do. I'm not saying that's gonna affect you. Like grow up, people move.
Right.
But he moved a lot. I mean, he moved twice in middle school.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. So he graduates from high school when he was 17 in 1957. The family then moves from California to Houston, Texas.
Yeah. Well, he's out now.
Now he's becoming an adult, and shortly thereafter he moves back to California on his own, leaving the family behind, where he attends El Camino Community College in Torrance, California. And in 1958, when he's 19, he joins the Air Force in hopes of traveling the world. He wanted to use his different fluent abilities and language.
Yeah. To be
See
able to
the
dump
world.
bodies everywhere.
See the world and all that. Instead, they stationed him in Texas, where his family had moved.
Don't!
And it backfired on him. But, however, this is a defining moment in the story of Patrick Kearney, because in 1960, when he's 20 years old, shortly before being discharged from the Air Force, he meets a man named David Hill while he's stationed in Texas. And David Hill is an interesting character.
Yes. The Bonnie to his Clyde.
Yes. David Hill, we'll just talk a little bit about him. He was a high school dropout from Lubbock, Texas. He had a rough childhood. He was one of 9 children, and his father hung himself in 1948 when he was a young child.
Nice.
Hill had been discharged from the Army for an undisclosed personality disorder, but it's basically because he was, presumably because he was gay.
Somebody asked, and somebody told.
Yeah, we know how the military was during this time, especially the Army, as far as if you were homosexual. If they found out, they would discharge you and say that you had a personality disorder. So that's most likely what happened.
That is so crazy.
I know, right?
That is a crazy take on that. That point of view made
Especially if
it
you're
so
not-
high to make it official government reason
Right.
for being,
Especially if you're not like a distraction to like like if to your bunkmates and stuff. You're not trying to like make moves on any of your bunkmates. Or you're not doing anything.
Right.
You're just doing your job
doing
in
what
the
you
Army, minding your own business, and then
Yeah, and now they know
someone
something
happens to
personal
find
about
out
you.
someone happens to find out that you're gay, even though you never did anything.
Right.
And then they did. Yeah, that's just crazy. Thank God things have changed, but. So the two would shortly thereafter meeting become friends and lovers. Hill, however, had a wife back in Lubbock, Texas, his high school sweetheart that he had ended up marrying.
Yeah. That didn't last very long.
No, this was the beginning of the end for the relationship when he met Patrick Kearney.
Right.
It's kind of funny because Patrick Kearney we talked about how he was small,
5'5",
skinny,
slim
effeminate.
build.
And then you got David Hill here, who was the complete opposite. He was like, I don't know how tall he was, but it was said that he was tall and muscular, probably over
tall.
6 feet, 6'8" probably.
6'11" minimum.
Yeah, for sure he could like dunk by standing there.
Yeah, most likely.
We're kidding. He was probably about 6 foot.
Yeah.
But he was tall and muscular. It was said that he looked like a construction worker. I saw a photo of him. He looked like a manly dude.
All right.
So
Take your word for it.
Bonnie and
Tom
Clyde.
Selleck type?
Yeah. Had a badass mustache.
Nice.
And in 1961, when Patrick Kearney was 21, he receives an honorable discharge from the Air Force and then moved to Long Beach, California with Hill. So I don't know what happened with him in the Air Force. I don't know if it was the same thing that Hill experienced where he was discharged for the personality thing.
Right.
If it was found out that he was gay. Maybe he was seen with Hill while out or near the base or whatever. I'm not sure. But he ends up being honorably discharged from the Air Force.
Right.
And in 1962, after about a year, Hill left Kearney to hitchhike around the country and eventually got back together with his wife in Lubbock, Texas, his wife Linda. So they had spent some time together in California, Hill and Kearney. You can picture them walking hand in hand on the beach.
I can. I'm looking at their picture right now, and you totally underestimated Hill, man. He's a badass.
What are you talking about?
He looks like a freaking actor. Like in this one headshot thing that like ran in the paper.
Yeah.
He looks like freaking Matthew McConaughey meets Tom Selleck, man. This dude right here.
So Kearney was playing up.
He
big
was, yeah. He was playing. Hey, he made it to the big leagues. Congratulations.
time. Right.
Congratulations, Kearney. Made it to the big leagues. It's just not in murder, but
I wonder if it was one of those things where like Kearney was out near the base and Hill happened to be in like the same place and like they saw each other and like Hill knew that Kearney was gay because the things we talked about,
Yeah.
being effeminate and stuff like that, and
Right.
like that's because Hill had the limited options as far as it wasn't like acceptable to be openly gay as much then.
So you're saying the pond he had to fish from was a lot smaller.
Yeah, so therefore he caught like the big bass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Right. It's kind of like that cereal you eat when like your other two favorite cereals are at the very bottom of the box, and you're like, man,
right, like
fuck.
most of the fish like power bait, but he had a worm and that happened to be Hill's flavor.
Oh, really? Is that how you wanted to put that? Is that how we wanted that to portray?
I guess I don't know.
I
Man.
like it. It's funny. Weird, but funny.
I don't know why we keep going on these weird tangents. It's real early. We're trying to do this thing a little earlier today, and
Oh, we're having fun with it, guys.
yeah. Sorry. So as we mentioned, Hill had moved back to Texas and gotten back with his wife. It wouldn't last long. He'd be back before too long.
Right.
However, in 1962, Kearney begins taking history classes at California State University at Long Beach. He's hurting during this time from losing Hill and seems to have brought back, like losing him seems to have brought back even more rage. Like it seemed like Hill kept him in check almost. You know, Randy Kraft's very similar scenario. Remember Randy Kraft lived with that roommate for a long time?
Yeah.
And like there was periods during his killing that took breaks where it was like he was just focused on his relationship and things were well.
So I think it's because they get that fix and they can float a little bit.
Right.
In the meantime, they might
I
as well
love you
enjoy
so
life.
much. I don't even want to fuck any dead bodies.
I don't even want to. I'll never cheat on you with anyone alive.
Right. God. And so it's this time where he kills for the first time. And this is in 1962. This is a 19-year-old hitchhiker from either Louisiana or Oklahoma.
Right. They don't even know his name, dude.
Yeah, a lot of
and he
these...
wasn't convicted of this one either.
No.
They couldn't prove it.
That's this kind of similar thing with like Randy Kraft where it's like the police think they have a link between the two, but they don't have enough to really convict him on.
If Kearney would have took some notes and kept a scorecard, maybe we could have more concrete evidence.
Exactly. This is why he's not in the Hall of Fame.
That's right. It's the little things, Kearney.
Yeah, you just missed out on the details. The details are what make you great.
Details.
And practice, but he definitely practiced. Yeah. His first victim was 19-year-old from Louisiana or Oklahoma, as we mentioned. This person agreed to take a ride on Kearney's motorcycle. Now, this is the only thing I read where he had a motorcycle. Otherwise, it was a VW Bug or a truck. He had like a pickup truck and a VW Bug, but apparently during this time in 1962, early on,
like you can't have multiple vehicles, Lauren?
He was trying to add to his coolness.
He's an electrical engineer for an airplane.
I just couldn't picture the guy like he's 5 hours feet going to reach the pedals down there. How's he going to shift?
Well, on the motorcycle?
Yeah.
You can get a smaller bike.
Maybe it was like
Honda Rebel, bro.
Yeah.
200. That's all you would need. Cruising around. Get you a little sissy bar on the back.
Right.
Hop up on this bad boy. Let's go for a ride in the woods.
He seemed like more of a Vespa guy to me, but...
Vespa guy. You can't take a passenger on a Vespa?
Beep, beep.
Oh, maybe you can. They're
Hop
pretty
on.
quick.
Beep, beep.
Those things are pretty quick.
Looking for a ride? Beep, beep. Beep, beep. Yeah, so the 19-year-old hitchhiker decided to take a ride on Kearney's motorcycle. Big mistake. Kearney there shortly after shot him in the head with his .22 caliber Derringer pistol. Now you showed me a photo of this.
Yeah.
Not the pistol, but of a similar pistol. It's a tiny little gun that fits in the palm of your hand.
Yeah, I think the average person could probably hold it behind their hand and you could not even see it.
But we talked about how small he is. Maybe this is a full-size gun for him.
Oh, maybe it's like a musket for him.
Yeah.
He's like holding it with both hands.
You feel lucky, punk?
He's like setting his feet.
Well, do you? Feel lucky, punk guys looking at like, that's a tiny gun. I don't know. I might be able to survive this.
I don't know. Ends up being like the cricket from Men in Black for him.
Right. Okay, we need to get serious. We're making too many jokes.
Yeah,
He's actually killing real people
It's
here.
not what we do here.
Yeah, I know. We're fucker. All right, so we're going to get serious. So he killed this person that we don't know the name of, but he may have been from Louisiana or Oklahoma.
Which is weird how do you narrow it down to just 2 states?
I don't know.
Or do you have 2 driver's licenses?
You know how this works? I read like 20 different sources. One of them said that the hitchhiker may have been from either Louisiana or Oklahoma. Maybe he heard a southern draw, like because this is one that Kearney actually confessed to later. So he may have like just said the guy had a southern draw, and what happened was he shot him when he was least expecting it, sexually assaulted the body, mutilated it, and then left it somewhere off of the California State Route 86.
Yeah.
Not too long after that, in 1962, Kearney kills his second victim, the 16-year-old cousin of the first victim.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. So,
like, how did that go down? Did he, like, pull up and he was like, hey, you that fella cousin Johnny ran off
No,
with
what
last
happened?
week? No?
No, but hop on.
All right.
No, what happened was Kearney was at some kind of I don't know if it was a bar or whatever.
Right.
Hanging out, and there was the guy that he killed first and the guy's cousin were hanging out. And Kearney got the first guy to take a ride with him on his motorcycle, took off. Guy, obviously, what happened was he killed him, and he was worried about the cousin saying something to authorities about the last person I saw him with was this guy. He looks like this.
So he went to go get him
5'5", glasses, rides a little Vespa.
Rides a Vespa.
I'm kidding.
Rides a Honda Metropolitan.
He was worried about that guy being able to provide information on what he... Early on, it was one of those things where in the past, we talked about how early on they're real worried. They cover their tracks a lot, and then as they do it over the years...
Oh, so you think he was just tying up loose ends?
Yes, I do. I think that's the only reason he went back and picked up the 16-year-old cousin of the first victim.
Who was hanging out at a bar, supposedly?
wherever they were,
Oh.
he was able to find the cousin that was with him initially. Took him for a ride on his motorcycle as well and killed as well. There's not many details on how he killed him, what happened, what he did with the body, but he did kill the 16-year-old victim. And then in 1962, the same year, he killed a third victim, an 18-year-old named Mike. Must have just been all he remembered. Probably all he remembered was that the guy's name was Mike.
Right.
I don't believe he was convicted on that one later.
That's all
on
you need
either.
to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike. I mean, he's probably a keeper.
Yeah. Well, he didn't keep him though.
Well, in a way, he did.
Now, I'm sure that this killing spree would have just continued. However, in 1962, the same year that he killed the 3 victims that he started with, David Hill would return to California and move in with Kearney. So,
Dun, dun, dun.
like we talked
Return to the
about,
Hill.
this put a pause on his need to kill.
Yep.
He's back with his lover, and things are going well again. And then also in August of 1962, he was finally able to find a steady job. He gets a job as an engineer working for Hughes Aircraft. Now, this was Howard Hughes, the famous rich guy. We have a street in Vegas, Howard Hughes Drive. It was his aircraft company, and he's working as an engineer. This lasted for a little while until January of 1963. So for a few months, he's working there, and then he quits his job for Hughes Aircraft. And then quickly rehired again in April.
Like, whoa, I made a mistake.
I think what happened is he walked away. From what I'm just reading between the lines, he was working as an engineer, and I don't know if he felt like he was not being treated as well as he should have been or whatever. He quits, and then he's rehired in April and soon promoted to senior research assistant. So maybe he was just like, you guys don't realize what you have here.
Yeah.
My IQ's in the 180s.
Right.
I'm not being treated right.
Recognize, bitch, I need a raise.
Right. And his boss would later say that he was a model employee. Yeah, in 1964, at age 24, Kearney and Hill moved together to Culver City, California.
Right, which is like a suburb of L.A.
Yeah.
Like you drive through it on your way to like Santa Monica.
One of the many suburbs of L.A.
Yeah.
Confusing as shit.
Right.
I don't think you understand L.A. unless you live there.
Yeah, maybe.
Because Vegas, we have 3 or 4 suburbs.
Yeah.
But
they're pretty broad.
Yeah, so I've been to LA a bunch of times and I still don't understand it. We tried to understand it in the Richard Ramirez episode, but it's pretty much impossible. It's just a big spider web. It's a big spider web. And that's why there were so many active serial killers just jumping around county to county during the 70s and 80s, I think.
Right.
In 1966, when Kearney is 26 years old, David Hill and his wife finally get divorced.
Oh, long overdue,
So
right?
David Hill's finally free and clear. The two of them can ride off into the sunset together.
There you go. It's about time he cut the cord.
Not really. Their relationship was so on and off. It was.
Oh yeah. Well, you got two psychopaths pretty much.
Why was David Hill a psychopath?
Because he took part. He knew about this shit.
You think so? Because he was never convicted. We'll have to talk about that theory later.
He knew about this shit, Lauren.
Okay. Well, here's an instance where he definitely could have known, where he was in the same house. So in 1967, in June of 1967, Kearney's 27 years old at the time. David Hill was invited by Patrick to go to Mexico on a trip. They met up with an old friend named George, and George actually invited them to stay at his house in Mexico for the duration of their vacation. Now, I think they were there for a while, like weeks, maybe months, hanging out. And then one night, Kearney decides to shoot George in the head while he slept in his master bedroom.
What the fuck, Kearney? Can't introduce you to nobody.
Dude, I let you stay at my house, and you sneak in the night and shoot me in my bed.
What the hell?
This is why I would never do like Airbnb
so
or like
pissed if I
have
was
random
David.
people stay at my house that I just met.
No.
No fucking way.
I know.
My tattoo artist was talking about that.
A lot of people use it though. People use it
she said
successfully
that
all
like,
the time.
She said she'll have multiple people at one time. Like during one weekend, she'll have like 2 or 3 people in different bedrooms of her house. And there's no fucking way. After doing this episodes that we've done and knowing how people are, like, how could you trust? You can hardly trust people you know, let alone some stranger that comes in your house.
That's
know
like
they're snooping through, like sniffing your underwear or something.
I just thought of something. Airbnb is like the equivalent of hitchhiking back in the 70s.
Right. Seriously.
It is. It's like we're so careless with that.
Yeah.
Just letting people in. It's like, I'm not picking up that guy. Oh, you want to stay at my house? Yeah. Now that's different.
I'm not only suspicious of the people.
$50 a night.
I'm actually, you know what? I'm more suspicious of the people that are willing to that want to do Airbnb and have you in their house than I am the people that want to stay in the house. Because someone who comes to Vegas, they're just looking for a cheap room, like they want to party or whatever.
Right.
I understand that. But the person that's like, I don't know, I guess it's money. So, but then
there's cameras and shit in
there.
there.
But yeah, I also feel like there's a decent percentage of them that are like, I want to get some people in my house and I can fucking have cameras set up in my room or whatever, doing some creepy shit.
That is creepy.
Or like when you go out to the strip to hang out there and this person's in your room just like looking through your shit.
Oh, man.
Doing who knows what.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Anyways,
Whew.
Kearney.
Never using being
Back to Kearney. In Mexico, he kills George while he's in his bed at night. He then drug his baddie.
He drug his baddie.
He drug his baddie to the bathroom. Not funny anymore because he drug his body to the bathroom for sex.
It's not funny.
In the bathtub and then dismembered it. He also says that he skinned the body with an X-Acto knife.
That's crazy.
And removed the bullet from the skull. This is what we were talking about as far as him being worried about getting caught.
Yeah.
He actually took the time to take the bullet out of the skull because that's a lot of times if you watch like cold case files and
Talking
stuff.
about a lot of time to skin a body with an X-Acto knife.
Well, this was
kidding
George's
me?
house, and it was just now playing to what you said about Hill knowing. Hill was on this trip. He was at the house.
Yeah. What's his excuse?
Supposedly didn't hear the gunshot.
Out cutting the grass.
Yeah, and
Bullshit.
and Kearney's in there doing whatever with the body and stuff. Where is Hill during this time? Like,
Yeah. I don't know.
it's just strange. How did Kearney have time to like kill him?
Hill's probably like, "What you doing in there? Don't you know I need my alone time?" All right, I won't bother you.
Those beans are killing me. Yeah.
You've been in there for 3 hours.
Yeah. So then he buries the body in George's backyard and behind the garage. The remains would not be discovered for over a decade.
That is so crazy. You think they would search? That would be like the first places they would search all over. If the owner of the home was dead,
I don't know
like,
how it works
wouldn't you
in
just
Mexico.
search that property?
I don't know if George had like any family or friends that would know he was missing, and this is Mexico. I don't know how
Right.
things work down there.
It's probably pronounced Jorge as well.
Or Jorge? George?
Or yeah, Jorge.
This is also something that would be reoccurring throughout his killings, and a lot of bodies police still kind of attribute to Kearney down in Mexico because it had the same markings of
Right.
of the way he killed.
Right.
They would find bodies in trash bags that were dismembered down there, and he was definitely making trips from Southern California down into Tijuana.
Yeah.
And so they believe that he killed many people, many young boys down in Tijuana because they found the same, like I said,
The exact same MO.
the same
right.
MO down there.
Same brand trash bag. They're like, they don't even sell it in Mexico.
The same brand, really?
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
I made that shit up.
I actually believed you for a second. In December of 1969, at 29 years old, Kearney purchased a home for $20,750. Pretty cheap, especially in California.
Yeah.
But this is 69.
Could have made a killer profit on that thing.
Yeah, this is the house in Redondo Beach where many of the later murders were the murders didn't usually take place at the home. However, he would kill them on the road, take the body back, where he would have sex with the body and dismember it.
Right.
During this time, Hill and Kearney are fighting a lot, and in June of 1971, Kearney returned home to find David Hill had left just a note and was gone. And this kind of began a rampage for Kearney. The killings would start on June 26 of 1971, and they would last until 1977. So he goes on a 6-year rampage.
That's crazy. It's what's odd to me is like, I guess he really didn't want to get hurt again at this time. But I feel like if you had that relationship and that kept you from killing and it fulfilled your needs, which obviously it did.
It may or
right?
may
So
not have.
When
See,
they
'cause-
were on the ups, though, he wasn't killing,
Well,
which was most of the time.
he may have been.
He may have been killing.
Because he was still they were getting into fights, and he would take off and go down to Tijuana.
Well, on
and they
second thought, fuck my theory.
yes,
okay.
that's what I'm saying.
Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying, because
All
I
right.
do believe they would get into fights. Maybe he wasn't killing in California.
Right.
He wasn't bringing the bodies back home for Hill to see. But I think they were getting
Okay.
into fights, and then Kearney would take trips down to Tijuana and kill people down there.
Yeah, and the little beetle.
Yeah. So he goes on this rampage, and the way he would do it during this time is he would pick up young men at either gay bars or he would pick up hitchhikers along the freeway, hence freeway killer.
Right.
Also, he would leave the bodies dismembered in trash bags along the freeway sometimes. He even went to the dump at times.
He was getting pretty
The
uniform
desert-
with the whole method right now.
Yeah, he would dump the bodies out in the desert.
Yeah.
He would shoot them in the head while driving the car a lot of times. So like we
Right.
said, he would catch them off guard, and he had that little tiny pistol that he would use.
Right.
He would drive to a secluded area then after shooting the person and sodomize the body, bring the body home, dismember it, put the parts into industrial trash bags, and dump them somewhere along the freeway, desert, or landfills.
Which is crazy because he probably just could have just put it out in his trash.
Yeah, and could have took a book out of the column Barbadella.
Yeah, just put it out in the trash.
Yeah, it works.
It does, apparently.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Unless you're being surveyed by the police, then at that point they might go through your trash because then it's public. It's
fair enough
out there for them to look through.
Fair enough.
During this time, it's important to note, this is something I found interesting about this guy, is that he was obsessed with other serial killers that were working during this time, they were being followed in the news.
Yeah. That's how you know he's crazy, if he's obsessed with serial killers.
Right, and that's what makes him seem, well, I mean, that's what makes him seem sad to me, because we were talking about how it seemed like he wanted to be remembered for what he had done.
Right.
One of the people that he was obsessed with following the news, one of the serial killers he was obsessed with was Dean Corll, who I'm sure we'll do an episode on. He was known as the Candyman. He was responsible for the Houston mass murders during this time. He killed a bunch of people down in Texas.
Yeah. And
he was super sadistic. Like, look into him a little bit, man. He's dark. And so it seems like the further along Kearney got into killing these people, as he was studying other killers, he was also like looking at the Hillside Stranglers during the time who were working in his area in L.A.
Right.
It seemed like he started getting more sadistic, Kearney did. Like, at first he was just shooting them, and it was all about necrophilia and power and like killing people who he thought maybe would have bullied him when he was younger.
Yeah.
He got off on killing them because it was like a power thing, and then he was also into necrophilia. But like,
here he starts thinking about his legacy.
If you look at the timeline of his killings, like near the end, as he's getting closer to getting caught, thank God he got caught when he did, because he was starting to torture a little bit near the end.
Yeah, for sure.
He was.
And we'll get into that. There's some pedophilia going on.
Let's go through some of the killings. Let's go through all of them real quick, the list, and just name the people and the dates of the killings. It started in 1962. We mentioned the unnamed man who was shot in the head, the 19-year-old, and then his 16-year-old cousin. And then Mike, who was the 18-year-old who was killed. This was all earlier, before his like real rampage started.
Right.
And then in 1965.
And these are all just known because he confessed to them. Like, he was never wasn't acquitted for a lot of these.
In 65, in Orange County, there was an unnamed man. In 67, he killed George. We talked about him. And in 71, he killed 13-year-old John Demchek. We'll talk a little bit more about it. There's some that we focused on and we have details on. Mm-hmm. We just chose a few of these killings just to give more insight into these, and
we tried to
add more weight to it, because like a lot of times you list all these people and it's like,
and we tried to choose killings that stood out, not only in as far as the method, but also is to give insight in his psychology at the time. It's like, this is the transformation that he's going through,
right?
And you can tell it in this killing, So it's not that this person's more important, that's why we focused on him or whatever,
Right. Well, we also focused on some of the younger ones to show what a sick fuck this guy.
That's
really
what I'm saying.
Because he was probably the most.
Was changing.
He was probably the most pedophilic of the other freeway killers. Not even probably. He was. I mean, he killed the youngest. I mean, there was
single-digit ages.
Yeah, there was an instance where William Bonin, I remember he killed a 12-year-old. I think his name was just like Macabre. He was on his way to Disneyland. That was real hard to study that part. But this dude killed 5-year-old, 8-year-olds. This dude, he took it to another level. On September 22nd of 1973, he killed James Barwick, who was 17 years old. August of 74, he killed Ronald Dean Smith Jr., who was 5 years old. The body was found smothered on October 12th. In 75, April of 75, he killed Albert Rivera, who was 21 years old, in San Diego, California. On November of 75, so in 75 he killed twice. The other one he killed was Larry Gene Walters, who was 20 years old. In 76, he goes on a real tirade in 76. In March, in Redondo Beach, he kills Kenneth Eugene Buchanan, who was 17. He shot him 4 times. Also in March, the same month, he shot Oliver Peter Molitor, who was 13 years old. This was also in Redondo Beach. April, he killed Larry Armadez, who was 15 years old. In June, in Redondo Beach, he killed Michael Craig McGee. We'll talk a little bit more about Michael McGee. June 20th, he killed John Woods, who was 23 years old. August, he kills Larry Epsey, who's 17. In August as well, he kills Wilford Lawrence Faraday, who's 20. also in August. So I mean, we're talking 3 times in 1 month in some of these instances. Right. He kills Randall Lawrence Moore. In the fall of that year, he kills Robert Benefell.
Now, what year is this?
17. This was 1976.
Okay, so we're approaching the final murder.
Yeah, we're getting.
So he's getting towards the end. So he's getting more constant, more what's the word I'm looking for?
Cocky.
No, I mean like he's more often.
Yeah,
I don't know.
frequent.
Frequent. Jesus Christ. Can I get a thesaurus in here?
You sit here and you got a million papers in front of you, and sometimes you just
right.
your brain
and I can't
starts
read,
to spin
so
a little
you got
bit.
that problem.
Right. Yeah, and in San Diego, California, he killed 27-year-old David Allen. This is also in the fall of 76. October, he kills 20-year-old Andrew Orrick. November 15th through 24th, in Indio, California, he kills Timothy B. Ingham, who was 19 years old. And then we get to 77. This was his final year of mayhem.
Right.
On January 23rd in Los Angeles, the body of Nicholas Nicky Hernandez Jimenez, who was 28 years old, was found. Also in February, Arturo Ramos Marquez, 24 years old. March 13th, John Otis LeMay, who's 17 years old, was found shot in the back of the head and dismembered post-mortem. Now, John Otis LeMay would be the one that would take him down, and we'll get more into that shortly. Right. However, on April 6th in Redondo Beach, 8-year-old Merle Chance was also killed. His body was discovered on May 26th. He'd been smothered with a sweater. And
How old was he?
He was 8 years old.
I
read a lot about his family, and that was a real sad one where he was just real loved. And like, there's whole pages of like kids that went to school with him who wrote about what a great kid he was and all this stuff. It was real rough. But let's go through the murders that we chose to highlight in detail. And one of them was Ronald Dean Smith, who was 5 years old. This was on August 24th, 1974, that he'd killed. Ronald was late home for dinner, and his grandmother had been watching him. His mother was out of town. He and a friend had been playing in a nearby park and gotten into what they called a sandbox fight, was his friend told the police.
Yeah, that's where you throw sand at each other.
Yeah, that's what I
until you
figured.
both can't see.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess Ronald really got hit good because he was at the park crying, and his friend went home to clean up.
Yeah, he probably went right for the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you do.
And that's what Ronald should have done to Patrick when Patrick showed up and offered him a ride.
Yep.
Ronald remained at the park where Kearney picked him up, and Ronnie's 22-year-old mother would later make a heartfelt statement to the press begging whoever took him to return him. However, he was not returned, and almost 2 months later, on October 13th, 1974, there was kids collecting cans along the Riverside County's Ortega Highway when they found the badly decomposed body of a young boy, which was later identified to be Ronald Dean Smith.
Jesus.
So it just shows that he was willing to go to 5-year-olds. He went from 5-year-olds to all the way up to 28, I believe, might have been the oldest that he killed.
Okay.
And
that's
it's one of those things
crazy.
where you're just speechless because it's like it's a 5-year-old that he killed and dismembered.
I mean, you feel for all of these victims, but gosh, 5 years old, man.
Yeah, the families of them, it's just like, they must have like deep regret. It's like, why did I let him go to the park that day? The grandmother probably felt responsible in some way when she really wasn't.
Right.
His friend that left him at the park probably felt responsible, and it wasn't his fault either. It was the fault of this fucking creep who thought it was a good idea to pick up a 5-year-old kid at a park and kill him, Because
it's in 74, they're not thinking about that. Although you should have been, because it's like serial killer capital.
Right.
And serial killer, like,
But did they
heyday.
know it? But did they know it at the time? Like, I guess it was all over the news, especially in 74, yeah.
Yeah.
In 71, June 21st is another one that we highlighted. We talked about 13-year-old John Demchek. He was picked up on a corner in Englewood and offered a ride home. Kearney shot him as soon as he entered his truck. He then drove 15 miles southeast along California-Mexico border to a secluded area, dragged Demchek out of the truck, undressed him, and raped him, left him there to die. This was one that stuck out to me because it was a little bit more sadistic in that he knew that Demchek wasn't dead when he performed the sex acts and then left him there to die.
Right, and that for like over 6 years, right?
Yeah, it would be 6 years before the body would be found, and that was only because Kearney had confessed to this one. These are some of the ones that had a little bit more details to them, and also that like the reporting went beyond, where you got news clippings about what the families had to say about these things. And
you know, it just occurred to me, like, you think he let this boy live because he was 13 years old and he could subdue him physically?
Maybe.
You know, because
he was trying to get the power from what we talked about from being bullied.
Because I feel like if this was a 6'2", 200-pound man,
he would have just shot him and killed him.
He would have shot him again. Yeah.
Yeah. He was kind of a coward for sure.
Yeah.
Not kind of a coward. This is a guy that abducted 5 and 8-year-olds, raped and killed them.
Definitely a coward piece of shit.
Definitely a fucking coward, for sure. During this time, this is another one that I felt we needed to add in here because of like there was a lot about what the family went through. There's a lot of reporting about the family suffering.
Right.
John's father, Stephen, took this extremely hard. Stephen had it in his head that John may have moved to San Francisco because he was really into music at the time, and that was a big hotbed for music.
At 13?
For the Deadheads. And so, yeah, I mean, they don't have Netflix to sit around and watch. 13-year-olds are going to concerts and stuff back then.
So they're just moving? They're just moving?
Well, he could have ran away.
I don't got any Netflix. I think I'll move to San Francisco.
Well, that's what his father, Stephen, thought, is that John may have ran up to San Francisco.
It's an independent kid.
Hey.
I mean, like, if I thought
or maybe it was denial from his dad.
If I thought one of my kids ran away, I wouldn't think they moved to another town. You know what I mean?
Well, now
they didn't relocate. I think they're just wandering around out there somewhere.
Don't you think 13 and 71 was you were a little bit more mature than a 13-year-old nowadays? We definitely baby our children more. Now that's a good thing, I think.
Is it?
But I think 13-year-olds in 71 were exposed to a lot more, and they didn't have as much distractions as far as they didn't have like TV to watch as much and Netflix and iPads and
From what I've seen,
they were out doing stuff more. 13-year-old would be out more. So
from what I've seen in TV shows, that's true.
Right. I've seen movies where 13-year-olds run away and they hop trains and
I've
stuff.
seen Sandlot.
Yeah. The point I'm trying to make, Michael, is that his father went to San Francisco looking for him and stayed there and like left the family and said, I found a job. He actually lied to his wife and other kids and said, I found a better paying job in San Francisco, and moved there and continued to look for his son. Meanwhile, the body wouldn't be found for 6 years, as we had mentioned.
Right.
After the body was found, John's mother, Norma, had to identify the son it was basically by a piece of clothing because, obviously the body would be too decomposed by then.
The worst moments of a parent's life.
Right. She identified the piece of clothing as John Demchek's, and it was said that shortly after the mom died because she was so heartbroken.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So this is the kind of devastation these things cause, and I know we've been making a lot of jokes throughout the whole thing. We can't help ourselves, we're goofy bastards, but we do realize the weight of these things, and we don't want to make light of that,
Right. We just want to make it a little easier to digest, but we don't want to be insensitive.
We can't help but joke because it is such heavy shit.
Defense mechanisms?
Yeah. It's just our insecurities. One more that we have to bring up was 13-year-old Michael McGee. This one was interesting to me because he was a troubled boy. He dropped out of school at age 12. He committed many crimes, including burglary and auto theft. And in June of 1976, Kearney picked up Michael while he was hitchhiking and invited Michael to go camping with him at Lake Elsinore. It's kind of weird because usually Kearney would get you in the truck and he would just shoot you,
right.
you know? But on this occasion, there must have been something different about Michael McGee in that he invited him to go camping, and Michael McGee said, not today, but ask me another time. And and Kearney actually dropped him off at home, and the next week, Kearney showed up at Michael's door. His sister answered and said that he was grounded and he couldn't go out. Roughowever, Michael slipped out the back door and caught up with Kearney while he was driving down the road.
Kids.
Right, listen to your parents, listen to your sister.
Damn.
Don't get into vehicles with creeps that are like way older than you.
Oh, man.
And I guess his brother even caught up to like the car and was like trying to plead with him, and he left and went camping. And Patrick would later confess that he shot McGee in the back of the head, raped, dismembered, and used trash bags to dispose of the body. His body has never been found. And there was also an interview. There was a thing I read that Patrick had specifically brought up that this was like a self-defense one, where McGee was saying that he had broken into houses and he was inquiring about Patrick's home, and he felt threatened. And he said that he crushed his bones up and you'll never find him because he had like this anger towards Michael McGee that he was convinced that Michael McGee was going to shoot him or something.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Maybe he caught him stealing from him.
I don't know.
I think it's just
But I
all.
mean,
I
he
think
was
it's all an excuse, man.
But I mean, McGee was
kid.
13 years old. Yeah, he was troubled. His sister said
not
that he
gonna
was a
say-
troubled kid.
Yeah.
But
I don't want to say that he did something because no, that's not fair.
no, but it just shows how stupid Patrick was, and that
Yeah.
he's getting angry at a 13-year-old and like, you'll never find him, and this and that.
Right. Shows how petty. Also shows how small of a man he is. That he has a rivalry with a 12 to 13-year-old.
Right.
All right.
So let's get to the final victim, who we alluded to was the one that got him caught.
Well, he wasn't the. Oh yeah, well he was the final victim.
He
not
wasn't
the final one found.
He wasn't the final victim. The 8-year-old afterwards was
Yeah.
unfortunately the police
Oh, okay.
hadn't caught him
In
yet.
April,
And
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
However, on March 18th, 1977, the body of John Otis LeMay is found, and it's found stuffed inside of a trash bag in a 55-gallon drum in Riverside, California. Now that was on the 18th.
Where was the drum located? Does it ever say that?
I think it was in the desert somewhere.
Buried it or just rolled it out
I think
there?
it was just out there. I don't know. I'm completely speculating, but this is what the
Another
information I was
rookie
getting.
move.
Right? Just throw the trash bags out, bury it, the body, whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
But like they said, this is late, so he's probably getting cocky. We saw how Randy Kraft got caught. He's driving around with the guy in his passenger seat.
I feel like at a certain point, a lot of these guys are just like they actually don't enjoy it anymore. They just have to do it. And they're like, oh my God, just fucking. It's like when you're eating like some really good food or whatever, but you feel fat as hell, and you're like, just get this fucking food away from me, please. Like, just.
I had
I'm
pizza
ready to
last
give
night,
up.
and afterwards I was like, why did I do that? Because then for hours I feel lethargic and just tired.
You feel like that's how
feel like
some
shit.
serial killers get when they just can't fight it anymore, and they're like, please just catch me, just fucking
think
kill me or something.
That may be near the end. Yeah, it may be because they do seem to get extremely brash near the end, where it's almost like they want to get caught.
Right.
So the body was found on the 18th of March, and then on March 13th, we find out that LeMay had told his neighbor that he was going to Redondo Beach to meet a man named Dave.
Oh, Dave. That name sounds familiar.
That conversation had been had on March 13th, 5 days before his body was found. And so when the police talked to his neighbors, they found out that, and they talked to LeMay's friends, and found out that he had been hanging out with guys named Patrick and Dave.
Right.
And so with some further researching, they found out that was in fact Patrick Kearney and David Hill.
Old Pat and Dave.
Right. And so Hill had met him and given LeMay Kearney's address where Hill had lived with him, and Kearney was the only one home when LeMay arrived. That's a very unfortunate thing to happen.
That is very unfortunate.
Kearney invited him in, and when John LeMay was didn't have his guard up, Kearney shot him in the back of the head, dumped his body in the desert, and then
again, Kearney not somebody you want to introduce to your friends.
no.
This dude cannot have multiple friends. He's a one-friend guy. Okay? You get it, David? Stop inviting your friends.
David Hill's lucky he never got shot.
He's like, no, seriously, dude, you're going to love this guy, okay? Listen, this guy is golden, okay?
I mean, I never keep friends around for very long with him. You know, like he meets them, we have one good time, and then I never see the guy again, but he's great.
Listen, you're going to love him.
You're going to have the night of your life.
He's a hoot.
So after the police had talked to his friends and figured out who these two were, that led the police to Kearney's home, and a series of searches ensue from there on. So on March 19th, 1977, the first police search of Kearney's home is conducted, and then 2 months later, the last day that Kearney is reported at work at Hughes Aircraft was in May 6th, 1977.
Yeah, he's just showing them what they're missing again, that's all.
Yeah, so running away is usually a good sign, you know.
Right, yeah.
When they take off and they leave the state and everything.
Right.
Usually that means they're innocent.
Exactly.
Then on May 19th, the police search Kearney's home again. And then on May 20th, Kearney stops by Hughes Airport to pick up his final paycheck. Kearney and Hill flee the state and travel to Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. And then again in June, on June 3rd, police again search Kearney's home. And then they find samples of hair from Hill, Kearney, and their poodle, plus blue fibers from their rug that were matched to those found on the body of LeMay.
I thought poodles didn't shed.
That's one of the big shining things, right? To like
Is it?
poodles is like they don't shed.
That's like the whole selling point for a poodle. Otherwise, why would you have one unless you're just like allergic to dogs with good hair?
Right.
Fucking poodle hair is annoying.
I'm just shocked that a gay couple had a poodle.
Are you?
Yeah, completely.
I'm not going to comment on it either
Yeah.
way.
Good.
I don't know.
Don't get offended. I'm just messing around. So after the fibers were found, they issue warrants for the arrest of Kearney and Hill, And there's actually newspaper clippings you can still find online where it was like 2 suspected in the murder of 8.
Yeah, that's that photo I was talking about earlier.
They had connected 7 others on top of LeMay. They had connected 7 others that matched his MO.
Right.
And they had basically figured that both Kearney and Hill were going on it together. Patrick Kearney and David Hill turned themselves into the Riverside County Sheriff's Department on July 1st of 1977. And this was due to Hill's family in Texas, so they had gone down, they'd ran away. They'd run like cowards, as Kearney tends to be, is a coward.
And their families convinced them to turn themselves in, right?
Hill's family did. So they went down to Texas where Hill's family is, and they convinced them to turn themselves in, so they did.
And they did it in kind of a cool way, though. They just kind of walked in, they're like, that's us.
Oh, did they just point to the picture?
They just point to the picture. They had like a wanted poster up, and they're like, yeah, that's us. I want
Cue the Dr. Dre and then like the slow motion black and white fucking sunglasses coming on with the doobie in the mouth.
Doobie. And the guy, the detective, was probably sitting there like,
no way.
You got to be kidding me.
No way.
You mean to tell me you got your Tom Selleck and Buddy Holly?
Get real. Yeah. So that was on.
Get real.
Yeah. So on July 14th, 1977, Kearney is indicted on the murders of Albert Rivera, Arturo Marquez, and John LeMay. And on July 15th, Kearney confesses to 28 murders. Now, shortly after, Hill just gets off. It's kind of crazy. Like they're just like,
well, Kearney makes a plea that for a full confession in exchange
what is he
for Hill's
confessing
freedom.
to though? If he didn't do anything,
huh?
What is Hill? Oh, you're talking Kearney confess.
Kearney,
yeah. I knew he did a plea.
Yeah, he agrees to a full confession for to
Hill's
not receive the
innocence.
death penalty and Hill's innocence.
Well, that's cool that he at least like helped his boyfriend out.
Right.
It kind of reminds you of Aileen Wuornos. Remember in the end when she was trying to protect, I forget what her name was.
It actually makes you find a teeny tiny bit of empathy for him.
No,
tiny.
Fuck him.
No,
he killed a
fuck him.
5-year-old and
Fair enough.
did things afterwards. I don't know.
No, that's true.
I hope he burns in hell.
No empathy.
If there is a hell, I hope he burns there.
Yeah.
And Satan
Fuck
fucks
him.
him with a pineapple.
Wow.
You
Like
see
on
South
Little
Park.
Nicky. Oh.
Oh, it was Little Nicky.
It's
It was
Little
Hitler,
Nicky.
the pineapple every day.
Yeah. Every day.
Every day, yeah. I hope that's what Kearney gets.
Wow.
For sure.
Yeah.
So on December 21st, 1977, Kearney pled guilty to the 3 murders, Alberto Rivera, Arturo Marquez, and John LeMay. He received a sentence of life in prison, and then on February 1978, he is charged with 18 more counts of murder, to which he pled guilty and ultimately was convicted of 21 murders. However, he had confessed to 28. The police didn't feel like they had enough, and the attorneys and everything didn't feel like they had enough to actually convict him of the other 7. However, they do pretty much say that he did them.
Right.
And the police also believe that he may have committed as many as 43 when you start considering the ones in Mexico.
Wow.
He is currently incarcerated at Mule Creek State Prison in California. He is
he's still alive.
77 years old right now.
Why didn't we go visit him?
Why didn't he get cancer like that was really painful yet? Because like my grandfather died at 78. Mm-hmm. Well, he's still got a year.
Mm-hmm. We can still wish cancer on him if you want.
I would love to.
Okay.
Can we do like a seance? Can we do like a
ritual?
drum circle? Can
We
we
could
all here? Every listener of
Yeah.
True Crime Guys, pray tonight that he gets cancer. Then it's painful and he dies.
Wow.
That's what I say.
Okay.
And then he gets a pineapple up his ass every day.
Yeah, from the devil.
Yeah.
Right.
Fuck you, Patrick Kearney. You're a piece of shit. And you completed our series of Freeway Killers.
Freeway Killers. Finally. See, we told you guys were going to do it.
Cue the audience.
They're like, it's about damn time.
Right?
Yeah.
I think, we're it's kind of the one thing we've done that no one else has done. We've done a lot of episodes that other podcasts have done. No one's done the Freeway Killer series.
Okay.
People have done William Bonham. Very few people have done Randy Kraft somehow, even though he was endlessly interesting and like one of the most prolific serial killers ever.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see how few podcasts have covered him.
It is interesting. And it's interesting that there's hardly anything on Kearney.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing. Like, I couldn't find an audiobook, a documentary,
right?
even
and
a
yet
YouTube video.
And yet it's pretty widely known that he killed 28 people. He certainly was convicted of 21.
Yeah.
And he may have killed 43 people. And yet you don't really hear his name brought up ever.
Right. It's weird.
It tells you the
whole
state of California, how crazy that was in the 70s. That he just kind of was forgotten.
Yeah, that if you just kill people, kill people with a gun, then you're not crazy.
A dude
enough to be
convicted of
remembered.
21 murders of like men and young boys.
Right.
He's just like thrown aside.
Yeah.
Because you had guys like Bonin rolling around in his creep van with
I
burning
think-
butts.
I think if his capture would have been more theatrical, then he would have more of a legacy. But just turning himself in, you know how like with Eileen Wuornos, like she just shot people.
Yeah. But she was a female serial killer, so there's the big thing
That's
there.
true. That's true. That's set her apart there. But also, like, her trial and the conspiracies and all that stuff,
Yeah.
it just blew up. And then the people were gathering info about movies and books and stuff, like, and it just made her story so much more interesting.
Yeah.
And it just added that whole other side to
And
her.
her
where you're
interviews,
like, wait a minute.
her interviews near the end
Yeah.
added a lot to it.
And then the self-defense claims and stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so he can't really claim self-defense on, like, a 12-year-old, so.
No.
Asshole.
But I was 5'5".
It was,
You don't have no idea what it's like.
yeah,
I don't know.
what a douche.
Final thoughts. He's a douchebag.
Yeah, like I said, he's definitely not one of my favorite serial killers, which, I mean, I don't say I have favorite serial killers, but he wasn't one of my favorite cases either.
Right.
Just for the fact of, I think he's interesting, I guess, but I feel like he just
Less interesting.
definitely
Than other
less
ones.
interesting. He didn't have like a real reason. I guess it was more of just a nature thing.
Power,
for
as
him.
usual. Like with most
And
serial
then,
killers,
yeah.
it seems like the main motivation is power.
Right.
And then necrophilia for him was number 2. Mm-hmm. He didn't seem to get off on the dismemberment and things like that, like some guys did. Like,
Right. He just did it for necessity.
Yeah, I would say like Bob Berdella got off on the dismemberment. Obviously,
And the
Dahmer,
torture,
Dahmer
yeah.
big time got off on like taking apart bodies and stuff like that. This dude
Yeah.
was more about killing them as revenge and then necrophilia. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Disgusting.
Okay, so what do we got? We got some shouts.
Yeah, let's give some shout outs. A big one to our podcast mom, Glory Ward, who sent us an awesome package with cookies. She sent my newborn baby boy, she sent him some onesies and some like...
She sent me one too. It's pretty amazing.
She sent me some butt paste, but big shout out to butt paste. I would like that to be a sponsor because that stuff is freaking amazing. I've been
Yes.
trying it since she sent me a little tube of it.
How do you feel?
Not only does it work, like
Yeah.
he hasn't had any rashes, but it also smells good. Like
It helps
it smells
with
like
your
cookies
hemorrhoids too, right?
What? My
It
hemorrhoids?
helps with.
No, I just use Preparation H for that, dude.
Oh, my bad.
But if Preparation H smelled like cookies, that'd be nice. I don't know why they make it minty smelling. It's strange.
Right. All right.
You got shout outs? So you're looking at your phone like you...
No, I'm just looking at reviews. I was just going to shout a couple 5-star review people.
Before that, we got to give a big shout out to Lindsay M, who
Yes.
also sent us a package. If you want our
Or
P.O.
Lindsay
box...
ML.
We've posted our P.O. box in the past, but if you want to send us something, anything, as long as it's not like anthrax or a bomb, send us some, like, if you like us, send us some,
If you
whatever.
like-
Yeah, if you like us. If you don't like us, don't send us like a turd or anything.
Please. I don't know. That would be kind of funny.
It would. So if you want,
I would definitely laugh at that.
yeah, as long as it's dried up.
Yeah.
Dried up old turd's funny.
Right.
Just hit us up and we'll tell you our P.O. box. But
There's
Lindsay,
also posts on Facebook and Twitter and
Yeah, if
what
you look,
else?
you can find it.
Instagram. Yeah.
Lindsay sent us a book from Lionel Dahmer, the book that Lionel Dahmer wrote, his father, Jeffrey Dahmer's father, and
Right.
she also sent us some Guar guitar picks. So that was really cool.
That was super
And
cool.
Michael's gonna be rocking out with those guitar picks very soon.
I am. Definitely. I'll definitely be using those picks to make music for this very podcast.
Right, and this podcast was fueled by Glory Ward's cookies.
It was.
Thank you, podcast mom.
Right.
We got some shout outs for people who rated us on iTunes.
Yeah, we just got a few 5-star.
All right, go for it.
So we'll shout them out. Shout out to Awkward. Okay. Pesky Andrea, Desert Dooner, Denver, Colorado reviewer, Ari Nema, and let's see, and Dava Girl.
Right on.
So thank you guys very much. That's just a couple of the recent ones.
Yeah, we're about to hit 200 iTunes reviews. That's pretty cool. I didn't think that day would ever come.
That is pretty crazy.
Yeah, so thank you guys. If you get a second, if you haven't done it, just go over and if you love the show, go click 5 stars. It helps out a lot.
Right. That does. It
It
helps
does,
us out
man.
more than anything. Really.
Yeah, it gets you onto the charts for iTunes, and then people find the show through there. They're just looking at the charts, and they see you on there, and they find it.
Yeah. Or you could tell somebody. That's
Tell
cool,
a
too.
friend, man. Tell a friend, tell a family member about the show.
Be crazy. Tell 2 friends.
Yeah.
Just go haywire.
Yeah. I want to thank all of our new patrons and all of our old patrons and everyone that supports the patron.
Yeah, and everybody who donates, one-time donation, we love those too.
Yeah,
Thank
anybody
you
that
guys so
donates,
much.
we have a ton of the classic True Crime Guys Creeper Van stickers. We still
Yeah.
have a bunch. If you want to donate just a couple bucks, we'll send you a sticker.
That's right, guys. If you want to support the podcast, but you're like, hey, I don't want to make a monthly commitment, or already got enough commitments, totally get it. Like, you can go on our Podbean page,
Yep.
click the link at the
Stickers.
top. Yeah, click stickers. If you're on mobile app, just click home, click stickers.
Yep.
Boom.
Send us whatever, a couple bucks, like I said, and we'll send you some stickers
Yeah,
and a little handwritten letter as well. Make you feel
Right.
special.
that's right.
Yep. And what else?
Because they are special. That's why they're so
TrueCrimeGuys.com.
TrueCrimeGuys.com. That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Goes to the Podbean page. Find us on Facebook. I got a shop button on there for you guys to go right to our store. So if you go to our Facebook page and click Shop Now, it will give you a link straight to our portfolio
for all of
designs.
your gear. If you just so happen to want to wear some Creeper gear.
Right. Speaking of Creeper gear, want to talk about our next giveaway?
Yes. If you are a Patreon supporter, even if you're not yet, but if you do join in the next week or so, on our next exclusive episode.
Wait, are we doing one more regular episode?
Yes,
real quick?
we got one more next week, and then the following week will be.
Right. That's what I
we
thought.
think we're going to do the Green River Killer, but we're not 100% sure yet.
Pretty sure.
Pretty sure.
Anyways,
but it could be BTK. Who knows?
Could be.
We might creep up on you and surprise you.
Could be.
Or I just gave it away anyway. We're going to be doing a giveaway on our next exclusive episode. One person who's a Patreon supporter is going to get anything from our store. One item.
Yeah.
Any one item, any color, any size. Shirt if you want a shirt, or phone case, or whatever you want.
Whatever you want. It's on us.
We're going to randomly.
Whatever color you want.
We're going to throw every Patreon supporter's name into a hopper, and it's going to select one person, and they're going to get a free item from the store. So
Right. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah. That's another thing you get. You get not only exclusive episodes, and you get a special shout out, and you also get maybe a giveaway, because we've already done at least one giveaway. How many giveaways have we done on Patreon? One, right?
We've done one on Patreon, 2 giveaways total.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, free shit.
we're trying to do that more and more, guys. Trying to give back. We really
Yes.
appreciate what you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
Hit us up on Twitter. Hit Lauren up on Twitter. He gets
Yeah.
bored on there. He
Yeah.
doesn't get enough replies.
Yeah.
On Instagram. You can also follow True Crime Guys on Instagram and Twitter, of course.
Snapchat. I'm blown away by how many
Snapchat.
freaking people go and follow us on Snapchat.
Snapchat's a fun
We need to
avenue,
post
man.
more stuff on there.
Yeah, we do. We posted some stupid shit today.
Yeah.
Today being
I want to give
Friday.
a shout out to Alicia McDonald, because she always sends me hilarious Snapchats.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she's funny.
I got to get logged
She's
in
really
on there,
funny.
man. Quit knocking me off every time I log in.
Yeah.
Douche.
Almost daily, she sends me something silly on there. It's great.
I don't get to enjoy any of them. Do you know how to save shit?
Any last words? Any last shout outs?
No.
I usually take photos and screen caps on my phone if
Do
I'm
you?
supposed to shout someone out.
Do you have any more shouts? Anybody? Call in now. Oh, we don't have phones.
Big shout out to Kristen Goldbranson, whom we haven't talked
Oh
about
my
the
gosh.
new badass logo she made us.
Yes. Yeah, I put that up on Facebook. Lawrence put it up on the Patreon page.
She made an animated photo of the two of us standing there.
Yeah, it's pretty
It's
amazing.
just classic.
It's us in cartoon form. It's freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
It captures us so wonderfully.
Yeah.
So we're thinking about putting that on some gear.
With the Beavis and Butthead of podcasting.
Yeah. So we're thinking about putting that on some shit, on some shirts, and maybe some coffee mugs and all that good stuff. Make it available. Somebody asked me to make the Keep Creepin' logo available on phone cases, and they are now. So if that was you,
Asking you shall
go
receive.
check it out.
Yeah.
Boom. There you go.
All right. I think
that it?
we've said enough.
Have we said enough? I think
Yes.
we've said plenty.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back next week with some more creepy stories.
Yep. And Lauren will say, "We're back.
We're back.
We're back again."
Yep.
Yep.
Back in studio.
Back in studio.
Thanks for checking out the show. Keep creeping.
Keep creeping.